Tech for Senior. This is season 3, episode 105, March the 28th. Welcome, everybody. We made it to season 3, and unfortunately, Hewie isn't here. I'm going to mention that a little bit later. You'll see why when I mention it. But season 3, 105 episodes later, amazing. We had our big celebration for our 100th, so I'm not going to dwell on that today, but just let you know that it is a milestone, and we're sort of excited about it. At least I am anyway. I want to welcome everybody here today. We have 75 people in the audience. It's your enthusiasm that keeps us going. It is, and I wanted today to say that after 2 years, it's really important. I listen to a radio broadcaster, as you all know, called Leo Laporte, and I've listened to him for 10 years or so. And Leo answers questions. People phone in; it's a talk show thing, and they phone in and ask him questions, and he, of course, answers their questions. But behind him, he has this huge group of people who are in the chat, and they probably run it off a Discord server, but they're in the chat. So when someone asks him a question, he looks down at his multiple monitors, and there's all these people, these experts, giving him advice on the screen. So he not only just has to know what he knows himself, but he has all this group of people behind. And I guess what I wanted to do is I wanted to thank everybody for your help when we're in our chat, like you saw this morning. We just don't know all the answers, and it's experts like you and people that are helping us. And particularly in the Q&A, when people are helpful and say, can answer questions and give us some feedback, that's just great. And I wanted not just to thank the people that are coming today, but I wanted to thank those of you who are helping with the show. And there are a lot of people that come every week that are experts in certain fields. And if you ever feel that you want to participate, you want to do a 10-minute segment, or whatever your interest is, please just contact me. We are more than happy to do that. You'll probably be hearing from Greg in the not too distant future. So Greg, of course, Greg and I did a lot of presentations together back in Mesa. So it is. So I wanted just to say thank you. It is your enthusiasm and your help that keeps this show going. We, of course, broadcast this show to not just to through our Zoom meeting, but we broadcast it to YouTube. So we also have some of our friends over on YouTube. We'll be going till about 10 minutes to the hour, just before Ray's segment. If you want to pop over and participate in the Q&A, we'd be certainly happy to have you. Also, we of course have a show on Thursday, which of course is our Tech for Senior Live, we call it. And this is where the gang sort of goes over last week's news and talks a little bit about what we've done and so on and so forth. And it's a lot of fun. We of course have a podcast as well, which is exciting. So we're a busy group. If you want to learn, if you want to keep in touch with us and learn all about what's happening, our newsletter is probably the best thing to do. So if you haven't, please pop over and subscribe to our newsletter, and we'll be happy to send that out to you twice a week. So let's get on. I wanted to tell everybody, the premiere service today, which will occur at 1:30 p.m. will be we have three items for you today, and I put the link in the chat, and I'll put it a little bit later. But Dewey is going to talk on LiDAR and maps, and so he did that a year ago, and that was a great talk. So if you want to learn more about that, that's great. Ray Baxter gave a great talk on different types of hard drives, including the M2 hard drive. And Ray, did you know you're talking on that today on our premiere service? You gave a great talk. And Bob, of course, last week talked on doing your taxes, Well, it's time to do spring cleaning, and he's going to tell you how to spring clean out your computer. And that all will be on our Premier service, which is free. The link's in the chat, and that will, of course, be at hour. Before I introduce everyone today, I just wanted to, we have a surprise for everyone. We have a special guest next week who is an unbelievable person. She's an expert photographer and is going to talk on digital photography. And she is Chris Gould, and she'll be here next week to tell us how to take better pictures. Here you are. Give a big wave, Chris. And they have my favorite, well, I guess my favorite show, I say my Sunday favorite show, but I have to be careful with Hewie because Hewie has a show on Sunday as well. So one is on one screen and one is on the other. So I watch both at the same time. I have to be politically correct. Anyway, Chris will be here next week, and she's going to give us some tips when I'm looking for it, and it should be lots of fun. So please make sure that you're here next week. I'm going to talk about Hewie in just a minute, and we'll do that. But let me just introduce everybody. If you're new here, maybe you don't know. But of course, where's Bob? Bob, Christisha, there you go. You're down. How come? Oh, you went out and came back in. That's how come you're not.
Yeah, that was a strange thing. You put up that it was being broadcast, and I pushed the button, and I was gone. So I don't know which button I pushed, but boy, did it knock me out of the show in a hurry.
There you go. So Bob, of course, has been with us since day one. He is usually talks on our security stuff, but he also is a very accomplished producer of different videos on all sorts of topics. He has his own website and YouTube channel. So he's a prolific producer of videos, and he's a very knowledgeable person. We're so lucky to have him. Thank you for coming, Bob. And he has a couple of segments for us today as well. So
a good thing blushing doesn't show up on here. Thank you.
And then, of course, we have Ray Baxter, who is our musical director. Ray is sort of a famous guy. He's the president of APCUG, Association of Personal Computer User Group. See, I remember what it stood for, eh, Ray? I got it. And he is the president and also a toe tapping music specialist, and he's going to have a great song for us today, I'm sure. As he talks on a lot of technology issues as well, right? And then, of course, and then we have where's Dewey? Where's Dewey Kloos? Dewey, where did Dewey go?
Same row you're on.
Are you on my row? Where did Dewey go? Anyway, Dewey, of course, Dewey's in Mesa. There he is, Mesa, Arizona. Dewey's a longtime friend of mine. We spent a lot of happy hours in our computer club, and so Dewey does a weekly segment, and he's got a great talk for you today. And he's a lot of fun. I really like Hewie, and so he's going to be heading home back to. When are you leaving, Hewie? You said you're leaving.
Leaving about a week from Wednesday or Thursday.
Right. Okay. So anyway, safe driving to you. We'll see you next week.
Yes, you will see me next week.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And then we have Bill James. Where's Bill from? There you go. From Oklahoma. Now, Bill, we always kid Bill about being the gadget guy, and of course he is. He does have lots of gadgets for sure, but he's also a very talented fella in that he does a lot of work with APCUG, and he does a lot of teaching, particularly around Windows 10 and Windows 11. So that's pretty cool, and we're so happy to have Bill. Bill participates in our Thursday show, and of course has his weekly information he puts into our letter. Oh, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday, so you're going to have another gadget for us tomorrow.
Gadget for you, yes.
Yes. So, and you're not going to tell us what it is, are you?
No, I want it to be a surprise. Probably is a surprise to everyone, but anyway.
All right.
But the one I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm actually going to purchase myself. So.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I've sort of caught up on my gadgets, so I'm looking for one as well.
By the way, the coffee pot is fantastic.
Is it? Okay. You should do a little video on that. Why don't you do a
I
little video?
will, as soon as I learn how to use it. It has
Okay.
more buttons than I anticipated.
All right.
Plus, it's connected to the internet and all this business. So it's been kind of fun. It was easy to set up though, no problems.
All right. There you go. Now, you're all wondering what happened to Hewie and where Hewie is. Hewie's doing fine. Hewie's partner, Robin Brown, passed away on Friday. She had ALS, and Hewie was able to look after her at home right up until a week before she went into hospice. So it wasn't an unexpected situation. And it's amazing that Hewie, when we're doing the show, like our Monday show, oftentimes Hewie has to leave, and he had to go and attend to her and come back into the show and back and forth and back and show, because his bedroom's right. He was broadcasting right from the bedroom. So he's an amazing man. He's quite relieved. It was a terrible disease to have. He will be back next week. I talk to him on a regular basis, and he's doing very well. So the Tech for Senior has made a donation to the ALS Foundation. I'll put the information in the chat. If you wish to make a donation, you go to als.org. I'll put this in the chat. His partner's name was Robin Brown, and I'll put Hewie's email in there as well, because if you do make a donation, they make sure it goes to the Florida division, and then you're able to put the name in and a contact email, and they'll let Hewie know that you made a donation. But I did do a donation through Tech for Senior for everybody, and he understands that, and he'll be back. He'll be back next week. All right. Where's Bob? Bob, do you want to take it away?
Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending March 25th, 2022. Businesses brace for impact after hackers claim Okta has been hacked. Okta Inc., Okta.o, whose authentication services are used by companies including FedEx Corp and Moody Corp to provide access to their networks, said on Tuesday that it had been hit by hackers and that some customers may have been affected. The scope of the breach is still unclear, but it could have major consequences because thousands of companies rely on San Francisco-based Okta to manage access to their networks and applications. Okta's statement follows the posting of a series of screenshots of Okta's internal communications by a group of ransomware-seeking hackers known as Lapses on their Telegram channel late on Monday. Lapses is a relatively new entrant to the crowded ransomware market, but has already made waves with high-profile hacks and attention-seeking behavior. Read more at PC Mag. Lapses hacking group steals Microsoft source code. Microsoft confirmed on its blog this week that the Lapses hacking group had exfiltrated portions of Microsoft's source code. No customer code or data was involved in the observed activities. Our investigations has found a single account that had been compromised, granting limited access. Our security response team quickly engaged to remediate the compromised account and prevent further activity. Lapses said it got 45% of the source code for Bing and Cortana and 90% for Bing Maps. Microsoft maintains the leak is not severe enough to pose a risk. For more on this, see The Verge. Would you believe it? A teen is suspected of being mastermind of Lapses hacking group. 4 researchers investigating Lapses suspect that a teen living in the UK who goes by the online alias White and Breachbase is running group's activities, Bloomberg reported. However, the teen, whom Bloomberg didn't identify because of his age, hasn't been accused of a crime by law enforcement, and the researchers haven't been able to conclusively tie him to every hack Lapses has claimed, Bloomberg reported. Lapses' use of social media makes it unusual in the hacking arena. The teenager was reportedly doxxed or had his identity made public by a rival hacker group. You're right, there's no honor among thieves. Read more at CNET. EU and US agree data transfer deal to replace defunct Privacy Shield. The European Union has just announced reaching an agreement in principle with the US on a revived transatlantic data flow deal, potentially signaling an end to the many months of legal uncertainty that has dogged cloud services after a landmark court ruling in July 2020, which struck down the EU-US Privacy Shield. We have found an agreement in principle on a new framework for transatlantic data flows, said European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Speaking at a joint press conference with President Joe Biden today. Read more at TechCrunch. The US and EU are far apart when it comes to privacy laws and policy. Unless there is a major shift in the US surveillance laws, this is probably headed for many court challenges. There's no certainty that this far-reaching agreement will actually turn into law. Bots eat up all the Raspberry Pi. Adafruit, a distributor of Raspberry Pi single-board computers, has mandated that certain new purchases can only be completed with the use of two-factor authentication. The new requirement is due to reselling schemes that use bots to buy up the last of the products. Raspberry Pi chief Eben Upton told ZDNet that this kind of automated purchasing is typical when supplies are short, as opportunists try to profit from the situation by clearing the market, then reselling the products at a marked up cost. Users intending to purchase certain high-demand items from Adafruit will now need to have a verified Adafruit account with two-factor authentication enabled. Micro-tick routers abused in botnet operation. This is the story of piecing together information and research leading to the discovery of one of the largest botnet-as-a-service cybercrime operations we've seen in a while, wrote Avast senior malware researcher Martin Huron for Avast Threat Labs. Huron and his team discovered that a crypto mining campaign, Glupteba malware, TrickBot malware, and many DDoS attacks were coming from the same command and control center. Default credentials, several vulnerabilities, but most importantly, the CVE 2018-14847 vulnerability, which allowed the criminals behind this botnet to enslave all these routers and to presumably rent them out as a service, Huron wrote. Users of MikroTik routers are advised to update with the latest security patches. For more, see the Hacker News. And the fastest ransomware is? Researchers at Splunk conducted an encryption speed test on 10 notorious ransomware strains, testing 10 samples per strain, and the quickest to encrypt was Lockbit, with a median time of 5 minutes and 50 seconds. The longest encryption rate came from Maze and Mespinoza, both coming in at 1 hour and 54 minutes. The tests were to help answer the question of how cybersecurity can become more effective at detecting and shutting down ransomware. Splunk concluded that their original hypothesis was correct. If ransomware executes on a system, it's too late at that point to prevent it. Splunk emphasizes that early detection is key to stopping an attack. For more, see Splunk's blog. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. Avast researchers have found password stealer malware disguised as a private Fortnite server, where users can meet for a private match and use skins for free. The malware is being heavily propagated on communications platform Discord. Read the article at the following link. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and get involved.
So it was kids that did it.
Yep, amazing, isn't it?
Well, the only thing I've got to say to that is obviously the security software wasn't that good. I mean, I can't believe those kids are that good. Anyway,
You'd be surprised.
unbelievable. Eh? All right, let's see what Dewey has to say today.
Hey, wait, Ron, the kids are smart because they listen to the show.
Yeah, yeah, right. Hopefully.
Good morning, friends. I'm Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is why USB-C isn't yet universal. 2 weeks ago, my Tech Talk topic was USB-A to USB-C, a deep dive into differences. It was a journey into USB ports and cables from its modest beginning nearly 20 years ago to the versatile USB-C ports that are common today. Depending on configuration, USB-C ports and cables can transmit data up to 40 gigabits per second, or carry power up to 100 watts, or display video at up to 8K resolution. Notice that I use the word or rather than and. My deep dive into USB-C perhaps left the impression that this is indeed the vaunted connecting technology of our age. That was until I read a very recent article in ReviewGeek.com titled, Why USB-C Isn't the One Port to Rule Them All Yet. Having one standard connector to power and charge all of your USB devices would make life a lot easier. And though USB-C is a strong candidate for the universal port title, it isn't there yet, claimed author Dave McQuilling. Barrel jacks are still seen on laptops for connecting power supplies, and Apple's Lightning connectors haven't yet faded away for reasons ranging from cost to practicality to safety concerns. So what are the shortcomings of USB-C, and what are the challenges it needs to overcome on its path to universality? Well, let's explore. For starters, all USB-C ports and connectors look very much the same. However, two different USB-C ports or connectors can have vast differences in properties as well as quality. Also, to receive all of the benefits of USB-C, ports and cables need to use the USB 3.2 standard, if not already using USB 4. USB 4, what's that all about? Well, for your information, the relatively new USB 4 standard was introduced in 2019, though the first computers with USB 4 connectivity didn't arrive until late 2020, a little over a year ago. There's quite a bit to know about USB 4, so I'm planning to make it the topic of my next Tech Talk. A properly designed power cable will limit the amount of power a device can draw. Regulating the power output protects the cable, the device, and the charging port. Unfortunately, many cables on the market do not meet powering standards. Users should always look for USB-IF, stands for Implementers Forum, certified cables to ensure their devices will not be damaged. Fortunately, these cables aren't necessarily the most expensive. For example, even every Amazon Basics USB cable has this certification. Cheap USB cables can be a problem, and consumers need to realize that USB items aren't patent. Everything, including the USB logo itself, is owned and copyrighted, and the owners do charge a fee for any commercial use. USB-IF certification costs money to companies which want to prove they're making a high quality product. However, the USB logo fee is waived for USB-IF member companies. Certification fees often result in manufacturers saving money by using the old-fashioned barrel jacks instead for powering. Apple, which worldwide accounts for a quarter of cell phone sales and over 7% of computer sales, still isn't fully on board. And without Apple, a port can't become a universal standard. Some Apple devices do make use of USB-C, including MacBooks and iPads. However, several of their smaller devices, like iPhones, still use Apple's Lightning connector instead. Apple is avoiding the switch for several reasons, including profit, since it receives $4 royalty from every Lightning cable manufactured and sold. Also, it's speculated that Apple won't make the switch because of waterproofing concerns and because it would give them less overall control over their devices' designs. Despite the EU proposal to make USB-C standard, that's the European Union proposal, to make USB-C the standard connector on the continent, Apple might opt to drop charging ports entirely, despite occasional rumors of adopting USB instead. Odds, however, are tilting toward Apple just continuing to use their MagSafe charging system, which you see to the right. Regarding power delivery, most devices could be powered by USB-C's 100-watt, 6-amp maximum power delivery. Nevertheless, there are devices like high-end laptops, speakers, and displays which require power levels beyond USB-C's 100-watt maximum. Of course, manufacturers of such devices normally include an appropriately sized power supply, and consumers needing a replacement or additional power supply for their device should always wisely choose an OEM part and resist buying an aftermarket part. I had a bad experience once with an aftermarket power supply, so I can verify that. Issues and confusion regarding USB-C are mostly the result of trying to bridge the gap between older USB connectors and current cutting-edge types. Hopefully, this situation will improve as the USB 4 standard comes into wider use. USB 4 uses only USB-C type cables and connectors, so the old, nearly obsolete USB type A cables and connectors may start being phased out. Change doesn't happen overnight, but the move to USB 4 with USB type A slowly sailing off into the sunset will certainly be a game changer. Well, that's my tech talk story for today, and I am sticking with it. And of course, I'm kind of excited about looking into USB 4 next week. So thanks for watching. Stay safe, and the good Lord willing, we'll see you next week. Bye now.
There you go. Everything you ever wanted to know about USB. Thank you, Dewey. Now, you ask and you shall receive. Bill James wants to talk about Malwarebytes. Where's Bill? We can see you. There you go.
Malwarebytes, free and premium. What's the difference? Well, Malwarebytes anti-malware is a great security tool that's particularly effective against potential unwanted programs, which are called PUPS, P-U-P-S, and other nasty software traditional antivirus programs don't deal with. But it's intended to be used alongside an antivirus and doesn't replace one entirely. If you're using Malwarebytes anti-malware, you should be running it alongside a primary antivirus program to keep your computer in tip-top security shape. But traditional advice is not to run two anti-malware programs at once. Here's how to thread that needle. The standard free version of Malwarebytes anti-malware just functions as an on-demand scanner. In other words, it doesn't run automatically in the background. Instead, it only does something when you launch it and click the scan button. This version of Malwarebytes shouldn't interfere with your antivirus program at all. Just install it and occasionally launch it to perform a scan and check for potentially unwanted programs. almost no one actually wants. If you will find and remove them. Using the anti-malware program as an on-demand scanner is a safe way to get a second opinion. However, the paid version of anti-malware premium contains real-time scanning features. Malwarebytes Premium runs in the background, scanning your system and files you open for problems and preventing them from taking root on your system in the first place. The problem is that your main antivirus program is already functioning in this way. The standard advice is that you shouldn't have real-time scanning enabled for two antivirus programs enabled at once. They can interfere with each other in a variety of ways, slowing down your computer, causing crashes, or even preventing each other from working. You can still run both at once if you like. To do this, you want to open Settings, click on the Security tab, and disable Always Register Malwarebytes in the Windows Security Center option. With this option disabled, Malwarebytes won't register itself as the system security application, and both Malwarebytes and Windows Defender will run at the same time. And we're using Windows Defender as an example. It could be any antivirus that you have installed. And here is the screen that you want to look at. Under Settings, you want to go to Security, and then you'll see Windows Security System, Windows Security Center, and you'll notice it says Always Register Malwarebytes in the Windows Security Center. In other words, if that happens, then Malwarebytes will become the primary antivirus. You'll want to have that switch turned off. Now, if you want to install the free version as truly free, here's a couple tips. First of all, you'll go to the Malwarebytes website, and you'll notice the yellow button that says free download. Next, you'll click on that button, and whatever browser you're using, you'll see where you'll get the MB setup, and you just want to click on Open File. From there, you'll get this screen that says Install. Now, you also will notice it has advanced options, but in the case of Malwarebytes, the only options you have is to install it as a desktop icon. So it's not really necessary to actually look at that. But most people will tell you that when you install software, you should always try and look at the advanced options to see what's actually occurring and what you want to turn on or off. The next screen you'll see will be include browser protection. I would suggest you skip this for now. The next screen, you'll find the product is installing. Once it's successfully installed, just click on Done. And then you'll get another screen that says, welcome to your free 14-day premium trial. You notice at the bottom, there's also a place to put your email. That's totally option. So you want to go ahead and click Get Started. This will bring you up with the dashboard for Malwarebytes, and you notice it says Premium Trial. Now, the next thing you want to do, you want to go up to the gear and click on it. And then you want to go to Account. From there, you'll want to click on Deactivate. This will deactivate the premium trial at this point. The next screen you'll get will say, always free, upgrade premium for real-time protection recommended. But you notice now the addition you have is Malwarebytes free. So you won't have to be bothered with going and deregistering if you happen to not want to have the premium version. Another thing you want to look at is setting exclusions. Malwarebytes is coded in a different way and is designed to run alongside with other antivirus programs without interfering. It may even work without any further configuration. But to make sure it works as well as it possibly can and improve performance, you should set up inclusions in both Malwarebytes Antivirus Premium and your standard antivirus programs. To do this in Malwarebytes, you'll want to again go to Settings and select the Allow list and add the folders typically under Program Files containing your antivirus program files. For more specific instructions, you might want to perform a web search for Malwarebytes and the name of your antivirus program, or just perform a web search for this name of your antivirus program and exclusions to find how to add those exclusions and exclude the files named on the Malwarebytes website. Remember, Malwarebytes is designed to run alongside a normal antivirus program, so you shouldn't have to worry about most of the time, especially if you're just running the free version. However, if you're using the paid version, setting up exclusions can help you avoid problems and maximize your computer performance. Here's some references that you can look at. Those will be included. I will put those in the chat. How to run Malwarebytes alongside another virus was an article that was in High 2 Geeks from Chris Hoffman. That's where I got some material from. And the other one is 5 best antiviruses to use with Malwarebytes config flee. And that's my presentation.
Thanks so much. That clarified that. We'll hope there might be some questions later on, but in the Q&A,
there will be.
Hopefully that clarified it. That was good. It was very clear, and thank you so much. Bob, where are you? Are you ready?
Avast invests in digital trust with secure key acquisition. Avast expands its vision in delivering next-generation identity solutions. Nearly every day online, we're asked to provide some elements of our personal information. Birth dates, government ID numbers, personal emails. We're expected to give up this highly valuable information not only to do fun things online like chatting with our friends or checking out social media, but also if you want to access critical services like government, banks, schools, healthcare providers, and more. Digital trust is a critical part of the next generation consumer cybersecurity offering. Identity and authentication and reusable digital identity services are expected to grow to $266 billion by 2027, with a CAGR of 68.9%, according to the digital identity specialist Liminal, which was formerly known as OWI, with the private sector to capture most of this growth. At Avast, we envision a reusable and global identity system that will underpin a new trust layer for the Internet. Think about it. With our current computing capabilities, isn't it archaic to require that someone enter the name of their first pet or the last 4 digits of their social security number in order to verify that they are who they say they are? Well, that's about to become a thing of the past, as a new way of verifying identity is visible on the horizon. And today we announce that Secure Key has become part of Avast to help us realize the vision of a global and reusable digital identity framework, which will underpin a new trust layer for the Internet. Why Secure Key, you may ask? To start, it's a well-established digital identity and authentication company, which has been at the forefront of simplifying access to online services through reusable identities. They've created a way for consumers to privately verify their identities with trusted entities. Think governments, banks, or telecom companies, for example, and then use that digital credential to access other services online. In other words, an e-commerce company could say, okay, we see that XYZ Bank says you are who you say you are. That means we believe it too. This means that consumers don't have to give everyone on the internet all their personal information, which maps exactly to Avast's vision of enabling greater digital freedom for all internet users today and in the future through new applications of innovative technology. Avast's aim is to change the balance of trust on the internet in favor of the individual, not the service provider. Digital identity is the critical enabler of many digital services, and Secure Key's success reflects the growing demand for inclusive identity services. Secure Key is already well established in the identity field and brings this proven expertise to Avast. Its digital identity solutions, currently known as Verify.me and Government Sign-In by Verify.me, enable over 200 million secure digital ID transactions per year globally. Their continued investment will support emerging digital identity standards and solutions, including DIDs, which is decentralized identifiers, and verifiable credentials to further empower digital trust networks and ecosystems and enable true user-centric control. Canada is one real-life example of the power of Secure Key's platform and enablement services, and a model that can be duplicated in other geographies across the globe. Secure Key's solutions are now provided in Canada by Interact under an exclusive licensing arrangement. Secure Key's innovations have the potential to revolutionize the way consumers and organizations approach identity and the sharing of personal information in the digital age. By working closely with governments, financial institutions, and businesses, they have established a track record of trusted and mature identity networks that provide consumers with the secure digital capabilities they deserve. As the European community continues to invest in public-private sector digital identity infrastructure, we need to find ways to expand our delivery digital trust services. We believe that the maturity of the Secure Key products and their history of strong operational delivery in Canada positions Avast for significant geographical expansion. Success for us is where digital identity becomes simpler, user-centric, portable, and enables a more trustworthy digital experience and a deeper online engagement that benefits both people and business. Thanks to Charles Walton for sharing this very informative and important information about Avast's latest acquisition. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to talk about PWAs. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. I recently made a video on using Microsoft Office on your Chromebook. This involved talking about a progressive web app. There was some confusion, so I thought I would make another video just to explain what a progressive web app is. So let's have a look at this. Now, most of you are familiar with installing programs. This would be installing a program on a prior Windows version. Now, to install a program on your Windows machine, you'll first get a notification saying, is it okay? And then you say yes, and the program installs. But I want you to think about this as really planting a tree. In other words, you are installing this program into the operating system. In other words, it is going to be installing a bunch of files into the system. And the longer you use it, the tree is going to grow. It's going to have big roots, and it's going to require space. And the more programs you put on your machine, oftentimes the slower it gets. So when you go to remove these big trees now with these big roots, it can be very complicated. And if you remember back in Windows 3.1 and some of the very old Windows versions, they got slow after about a year because of all these extra programs we were putting on there. Now that's got a bit better as we have moved ahead, but you have to remember when you install a program, you are putting a lot of software into the operating system. This, of course, also adds a huge issue with security, because this is where viruses can get in to the central part of your operating system. All right, let's look at the native apps that you might find on your Android phone or your Chromebook. These apps install on top of the operating system. The operating system looks up at those apps and says, "You're not touching me, you're not getting in, period." These apps work on the surface of the operating system, and this adds part of the incredible security we find on Chromebooks and Android phones. The apps do not install into the software and they sit on the surface. So you can delete apps, install them, delete them, install them, delete them, because there is no roots to pull out of the operating system. On a Chromebook, we also have sandboxing. What sandboxing means is the apps are limited to their own physical space. They're boxed in. They can't affect other apps that are on your Chromebook. So they are sandboxed just to that space. So they can't go into the operating system and they can't affect other apps. So when you delete them, they're gone. And you'll find these apps at the Play Store. They easily access your device. They load fast. And they often use part of the hardware capabilities of your device that you're using them on. They are limited to the operating system that you're using and the version. So a different app would be needed for an Apple device, a Windows device, or a Chromebook. They all need to be different apps. PWAs are built and live on the web. They're reliable, they're fast, and they're engaging. And they're distributed directly to the user. In other words, they don't go through the Play Store or the Apple Store. A good example that we're going to use is Microsoft Office, which is downloaded directly from office.com. They load instantly on any operating system. In fact, they work on Windows, they work on Android, Chrome OS, and iOS devices. And they update through the app themselves, so you don't have to go back to the Play Store or for updates. Now, Microsoft Office is now a progressive web app. If you used any of the old apps, the native apps like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, or Microsoft PowerPoint that you downloaded from the Play Store, these will not work. In fact, when you try to run them, they will send you over to office.com, where you'll be prompted to download the PWA, which is a progressive web app. You'll find this to be true on your phone and also with your Chromebook. Progressive web apps also will work on your Windows machine. So let's have a look and see how this works on a Chromebook. Now, the preferred method is to come over to the Microsoft site at office.com and sign in to your Microsoft account. This will enable you to download the progressive web app. Now, you come over to office.com and you have a number of options. Now, the sign in to your Microsoft Office account is really the sign in to your Microsoft account. So if you signed in Windows 10 or 11, you can use the same sign in and password. It will automatically find your Office 365 account if you have signed up for one. Now here we are logging in. I say yes. Now we'll see that I'm in my Microsoft account. So here is the trick and the point of this video. Come up to the very top and you'll see a little button here. When you click that, it then says install this app. And you're going to click this and install it. And then what you're going to notice is that your software will open up. In this case, it's a PowerPoint slide. What you've just done is you've downloaded and installed the progressive web app for Microsoft Office. Now this is downloaded and installed on your Chromebook. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is the way that you get the app. It's not found in the Chrome Web Store or the Android Play Store. It is found on the Microsoft site. So if you want to watch the entire video on installing the Office PWA on your Chromebook, I'll put the link in the description. So you remember the like and subscribe thing. We'd sure appreciate it. It really helps us continue to make great videos like this. It's Ron Brown. All right. Ray, are you getting ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just want to say goodbye to our friends over on YouTube. If you don't forget our Premier service, and we'll see you the same time next week. If you want to pop over and participate in our Q&A, we still have room, so you can pop over here. We'll let you in and you can participate. Okay, Ray, go ahead.
Okay, Simply 3. This is a classically trained, pop-influenced, string-driven group. Now, as I've aged, I've learned to appreciate string instruments much more than when I had to attend my 10-year-old daughter's elementary school play, and as a good parent, was required to listen to her along with classmates playing, that word is in quotation marks, the violin. I'm not sure how many others have done that, but it was an experience. As an example, my recent newfounded appreciation, in the past I played for Tech for Senior a video clip of Lindsay Sterling, who presents really a wonderfully choreographed violin performances in her live shows and music videos. Now, similarly, we have Simply 3. Their website tells you they have old school training, but a new school sound. For me, they take string instruments to a whole new level. And what makes them fairly unique is not just one string instrument, but 3: violin, cello, and bass. Simply 3 started performing way back in 2010, and today's clip is their very first video from the year 2013, which launched their careers as independent musicians. The filming takes place at the Casa Grande Domes in Arizona as they perform the Adele tune, Rolling in the Deep. Miss Olivia Christensen is the violinist and a founding member. However, shortly after this video, she left the group to pursue a master's degree in music performance, violin, and she received that from Arizona State University. Today, the trio is all male, consisting of Glenn McDaniel, Nick Villalobos, and Zach Clark. Their repertoire spans artists and composers that include Gershwin, Coldplay, Ed Sheeran, and Michael Jackson. As far as YouTube videos, their most popular at over 19 million views is their version of Counting Stars, originally performed by One Republic. So I'm going to provide in the chat links to this video as well as the one I'm about to play right now. And there we have it.
Well done. Well done. Wow. That's, it's amazing because they obviously record that in a sound studio and dub it over top, eh? So
yeah, I think because they go from scene to scene and they're continuing with the music so nicely. But that location is halfway between Phoenix and Tucson in Casa Grande.
Yeah.
And apparently, a little bit of I read in the 1970s, they were building in the earliest days of computerization a facility to manufacture a computer-related project. It never got off the ground, and the building stayed there. And unfortunately, they're in disrepair today. And if you go there, there's all kinds of signs about no trespassing, but you can see how many people believe it.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, great. Thanks so much. Wow. I've been there actually. I was down
really?
there. Yeah. It's sort of exciting. All right. Welcome, or sorry. Thanks so much. And I did put in the chat the link to the Premier service as well as to the ALS.org for if you want to donate to ALS research on behalf of Hewie's partner, Robin Brown. We're going to be starting our question and answer now. And just to remind everybody about the Premier service that started about hour. Dewey's going to be talking on, of course, LiDAR, AR, and maps. Great talk he did a year ago. And Ray's going to talk on M2 hard drives. And Bob's going to tell you how to spring clean your Windows 10 computer. So if you need some spring cleaning, you can find it all free of charge at hour. I put the link in the chat as well. It went out in the newsletter as well. So it's there and should be easy to find. Now we have about 20 minutes now before if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to talk about. It's always helpful if you look down and you can see in the bottom under reactions and you put your hand up, because then it sort of brings you right up and we can see you. Because with all these people, we've got about 71 people in the room. I can't see everybody. So it sort of is really easy if you just put your hand up and you can bring yourself up. There we go. All right, let's get started. Bill, go ahead.
Yes, I noticed in the chat that it was quite lengthy, and then when I went back to it again, it had shortened up. Is there a limit on how much the Zoom chat holds?
No. Are you talking about what I put in?
No, down there. Well, yeah, you put things in there
You
too.
came in, you like I got knocked out and came back in. So your second time in, you would not have seen anything that was posted prior or on your first visit.
Gotcha.
And with
Okay.
mine and with me, I
Right.
messed up the first time I put in. I typed away and then hit enter. As soon as you put enter, it broadcasts it, right? So I put the email in, enter, so it didn't work out well. So that I did a better job on this time. You'll see it's in the chat. It should all be there for you. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned about Office. I've been using Office 365 for 6-7 years, and I signed up with it through Microsoft. I didn't know there was an office.com link, but in your presentation, you mentioned that when you to sign in, if you already have to get to the free version, if you already have an account for Office, well, do you have an account for Office unless you're not already paying for it?
No. If you saw the video, I really should have been more clear on that. If you watch the video there, when I was saying when you sign in, and I had the Microsoft sign in there, you'll see there was a little line at the bottom that said sign in for a free account. And that's what you want to click, and that'll create a free account. You and I are a bit different because I buy Office 365 as you do. So when we log in, we could log into office.com. You can log into your Microsoft account. It doesn't matter. It's going to take you to the same place, right? It's just going to take you exactly to the same place. But if you have the free version, then it's probably best to just go to office.com and click that for the free version.
Well, why would anybody want to buy it if there's a free version?
Well, the free version is limited. In other words, first of all, when you purchase it, we have the option of downloading the exact program onto our machine, right? We actually have the licensing to use it. What you're using when you get the free version is you're using the PWA app, which links you back into the online version of Office. So you don't have the option of downloading it and installing it locally on your machine. But it is free, and you can use PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. But if you're using the free version as the PWA app, then you're just getting the online version of it. Okay.
Like you said, Ron, the online version is not as complete as the version that you buy.
It's not quite the same, right? There's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do.
Okay, thank you very much, and kudos to Dewey on this presentation on USB.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week too. Yeah. It is so confusing. It's like crazy.
So at some time in the future, I'll present an engineering perspective of why the 100 watts is the thing that changed. Connectors, we normally use them just to transfer data or video. Yeah. But the USB is unique in that you have to transfer a lot of power now, plus the data. That's the difference.
It is, and it's so confusing because I have a Type C to Type C that I got with my Pixel phone, and I went and I connected one of my cameras, and I wanted to transfer some video, and it wouldn't work. And I thought there's something wrong with the camera, and it was really confusing. I tried a different cable, and it worked fine, right? They're all different.
But the cable you tried was strictly for charging.
Yeah, it looks the same. It's got the same ends. Come on, they should all be the same. So anyway, you're right. So Carl, that would be great. If you want to do a chat sometime, let me know and we'll, you'd be great. I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, because as an engineer, it said, okay, we're going to run 100 watts at 5 volts. That's 20 amps. You can't run 20 amps in a number 24 or number 26 wire that's in the cable.
It's not
So
gonna work.
that changed the whole paradigm. If they didn't want to go 100 watts, of course, we always want faster, so you need more wattage. That's all I have.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks so much. Yes, indeed. Any questions? Any more questions? We must have some more questions. And Chris is here. Chris would even take some questions, wouldn't you, Chris? She's yes. So yeah, Malwarebytes. Bill, if I run Malwarebytes, which I haven't for a long time, but when I did, I get these pubs, all these pubs popping up, hundreds of them, right? What do I do with all those? They're not really harmful, are they?
No, not really. As the name implies, they're just kind of an annoyances. But usually, what Malwarebytes will quarantine them for a period of time, and after a while, they will, just disappear. I usually put them in quarantine.
But it's funny because the Windows Defender doesn't pick those out. They don't care about them.
Well, I think it's just a mixed bag as to what algorithms picks.
It is possibly unwanted programs.
Yeah.
And the term is possibly.
Possible.
Okay. Which means if I install something on my computer to monitor the keys that I type, that is possibly unwanted, because if someone else had installed it, that's definitely malware that's stealing your information. However, if I chose to personally install it on a computer, that's no longer malware. It is something I chose to install. And there's usually probably a reason why I've done that. So PUP is possibly unwanted, not necessarily something dangerous.
There you go. George, go ahead.
The link that Bill provided for 5 programs that run well with the Malwarebytes includes a link to Kaspersky. I bought my Kaspersky before the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and I kind of wish I hadn't. But so people should be a little bit aware that there's been several advisories from different governments not to use Kasperskys. That article link was from prior to it was in 2021, so you'll see that. People should be aware that there's some question about that.
That's why I stick with Windows Defender.
Probably programmed by Russians, but
well, actually, Bob, do you know for sure is Kaspersky, is it still owned, or is it sold off? Is it owned by a British company? Is it really still owned by the Russians, or what? Do you know?
They have a link to a British company, but it's a Russian.
It is still a Russian product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Again,
I had another quick question. If nobody else has one. Chris has her hand up. Sorry, I'll wait.
Go ahead. We've got less time, George. Go. You'll get to Chris in a sec. Can you wait in a sec, Chris? Okay. Let me just.
So there was a discussion that Bill answered in the chat, because I had helped a person who had a Windows 10S machine. Notice the S's, and when we went to load Zoom, it said that's not going to run, because it didn't come through the Play Store. And I was surprised that they don't have a Zoom in the Play Store.
Well, you mean the Microsoft Store?
Yeah, sorry, Microsoft Store. Yeah. So that kind of surprised me, given the importance of Zoom generally. But
Gotta remember, Microsoft has their own.
Yeah, I know, but
so why would they endorse somebody else's?
Yeah, but the question is, can you just use your browser now?
You could run the web version of Zoom.
Yeah. Is it as good as the app, or would she notice a difference when she's just chatting with?
I don't think she would notice the difference.
Yeah. Okay. That's the other question.
The last time I tried to run Zoom on my Chromebook, it popped up a message saying oh God, which way was it? Saying use the PWA. The PWA,
Right.
because the just web client is going away, and use the PWA. And I'm not sure about a Windows S machine, but if you can run a browser, if you can run the Chrome browser, PWA runs on top of the Chrome browser, right?
Oh,
So,
okay. So it might run
so
in an
why
S
wouldn't
machine.
Chris, the only thing about it is that the Chrome browser software has to be in the Microsoft Store.
and it's not on a
Download.
Windows S?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure the Chrome browser's in the Microsoft Store. That's there, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked lately, but that's the problem with the Windows S machines is that the restriction is that any software that you
Yeah.
download to that machine has to be in the Microsoft Store.
Yeah, the S stands for secure.
Yeah. So let me just explain to everyone, because you may not understand what we're talking about. And it was a sort of a bizarre thing I found out when I went over to investigate this a few years ago in Mesa, when someone said they couldn't install something on their computer, and I had to figure out what this Microsoft S was. And it is a secure version of your Microsoft software, and you can't install anything other than in the Microsoft Store. You don't see this very often. This is a very unusual. You don't see this product offered. It's often on low end budget computers that you're probably going to give someone who's at high risk, and it sort of encapsulates you from any virus or any bad things that can happen. But the problem is you just can't load anything or do anything with it. Now, it's very easy to get out of the S version, and you just click a button and it says, okay, you're now okay, and you've got the regular version, but you can't go back. You can't say, oh, I want to go back to S again. So once you hit the button, it's gone. But otherwise, it just didn't, you couldn't do anything with that stupid machine other than run Microsoft stuff, right? So
And hopefully you didn't run into one of the programs on the Microsoft Store that was led you to an infection. 'Cause
yeah. So
let's put it this way, it's not 100% safe.
Yeah.
Everything
I think it
that's
was
there.
geared for parents who were buying their first computer for a younger child, and they didn't want that child to be going to
Right.
the wrong places and bad things get downloaded.
right.
Yeah,
But
The
you don't
problem
see-
is that they don't have much memory. And when you turn off the S option and enable the full version, I don't know how much memory was left. That's the route we took. We ended up
Yeah.
turning off the S version.
I think
And
if you're
loading.
worried about that type of person, far better to buy a Chromebook and just use the Chromebook. It's so
Yeah, she'd already bought this though.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And
I
but you
think
don't
that's
see
what
them
the
around.
S stands for.
Yeah, stupid. I don't. Yeah, because I and you don't see them around very much. I've never seen it since. I don't even know if they still make it. Do
Oh
they make an
yeah, no, she
SM11?
got hers.
No, yeah.
She got hers within the last 3 months or something.
Oh, really?
They're
Yeah.
still being made, and they are on the lower end versions. Dell has a version, HP has a version.
Oh,
When
really?
you're looking at the operating system, just
Oh.
make sure it doesn't say that it's the S version. It'll say, Microsoft Home S.
Oh, gee. Right. Okay.
So you just want to just avoid that unless you're, completely comfortable with using that
Yeah.
type of
Environment. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if anybody here is using the PWA version of Google Photos.
No.
As I say,
I have it installed on the Chrome, on my Chromebook.
Yeah, and have
Do I use it? No. I just installed it because it was available.
Uh-huh.
But if I
Well,
have something serious
I've
to
been
do,
playing with
I'm
it.
right. If I have something
Um,
serious to do, I'm on my computer and I'm on, or I'm on the Pixel 6.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I've just
Chris,
been playing with-
what's your feeling? What's your thoughts?
Well, it does seem to be a little bit faster, and I can't prove it, but it seemed like when I searched, it came up with more. So it just does work better, and that's what I understand about PWA. So now I've installed Google Maps has a PWA, Google Keep, I think, Calendar, You know, PWAs are now just, if you were a developer and you wanted to develop something that people will use on their browsers and you want it to work fast, you don't make a browser web page, you make a web app, a PWA. So, and it does seem to be a little bit faster.
Well, it isolates it from the browser.
Right.
Because it's its own, it's like having the browser open with only one tab. And running anything with one tab is going to be faster than if you have all your 20 tabs open. So,
good way to put it. Good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the problem Microsoft would have if they had Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, 3 apps, and they had to, and Chrome OS now for the Chromebooks comes out once a month, get a new version every month. Plus they'd have, Android, is Android 12 now, but they're bringing out new versions. I mean, they'd be updating those darn things like every single hour of the day. So, the progressive web app just makes so much more sense. Dewey, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to answer Pam Selby, who left a note in chat, concerning an Amazon item. I was the person that suggested it, and it is the Amazon brand Eero, E-E-R-O. They are quite good quality and much less expensive than some of the other mesh systems. But you can get a 2-component system and use the second component at that distant location. So look on Amazon.
The only thing, Dewey, with the Eero is that I believe on the Eero that you need a puck for each room. Like, it doesn't broadcast very far. So if you're in your home and you have like a larger home, you're going to need a whole bunch of pucks or access points. You're right, it would work outside, but the Eero is much more related. You're going to need more of those rather than like the Orbi system, which broadcasts through many rooms. Okay, that's the only.
I'm not sure I totally agree with that, because I remember in one of my recent tech talks, I talked about the fact that I helped put in an Eero system at our son-in-law's cabin.
Oh, right.
Son-in-law's cabin, and it reached all the way from the house way down to the boathouse.
Okay, good. Well,
Yeah,
it could be.
It was quite long distance.
Yeah, Eero's got a good name, and that's a good idea to look at that. Chris, did you have anything more to say other than no? And we're so excited to have you next week. Oh, this is going to be great. So we're going to learn all about, I got all fired up about this when you did your show the other day, and I got my camera out and you were telling me how to push some buttons, and I thought, I didn't know that. And oh, wow, there's all this stuff that I can do. And so I'm all ears. I'm looking forward to this, that at least I can learn how to use my digital camera now. That'd be
Well, just to make it clear, it's not all cameras, it's just phones.
Yeah.
That I'm going to be talking about.
Phones. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Phones.
Both iPhone and Android, but
does anyone have a camera anymore? Does anybody?
Yeah, I still have a couple hanging around, but they're in mothballs. That's why I was going to ask Chris, do I have to dig one out?
No, this is
okay. I'll be using my Pixel.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron, I got a quick comment.
Yes,
I was using YouTube last night, and your PWA YouTube video came up, and I want you to know I'm the 3rd person to say I like it.
Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Well, we are now at 20 past the hour. I want to thank everyone for coming. In 10 minutes time, if you want to watch the premiere event, we'll be happy to do that. I've put the link in the chat, so you should be able to do that. Hewie will be back next week, so we're be happy to see him again. If you want to drop a note to the ALS people, and Robin Brown was his partner's name, then I'd be happy if you would do that. But I did make a donation for everybody from Tech for Senior. And if otherwise, we will see you. Don't forget to watch us on Thursday. Thursday, of course, we will have our Thursday show. But otherwise, we will. Chris, did you have something to say before?
Well, Jim just reminded me that I should make sure everybody realize if they have any Google Photos questions. I'm doing a live Google Photos Q&A tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.
That's 7 p.m. Okay, great.
And Jim was going to drop a link in this.
But I'll have
Did
to
you put it
find
in the chat? Did you get it in the chat?
Yeah. Just go to our YouTube channel. It'll be
Okay.
there.
Thanks so
Geeks on
much.
Tour.
Thanks so much. We'll see everybody in another week. Season 3. This is episode 1, season 3. All right. See everyone in a week's time. Bye now.
Bye-bye.